Hello, Steve here. Welcome to Real Health. Who'd have thought health is about what we're eating? Join me on my quest to disseminate my go-to health regimen, the Health 44, my clumsy branding of eliminating 4 classes of food, introducing 4 classes of micronutrients. Bingo, bongo, health sorted. So thank you for your interest. Let's do this. Today, you've clicked on it. Today's episode. What was it? What is it? What is it? What was it? Well, the simplest way to health. The simplest things, the easiest things you can do to improve your health. Even easier than the Health 44. The Health 44 is a 95er, 99%er to get yourself to better health. But these few little principles will give you 50%, 60, 80%, depending on your age, depending on your condition, depending on your sensitivities, genetics. No, it's not about the genetics. Birth defects, like my eyesight is a birth defect. Some people that may struggle into that have been obese since they were born. There's congenital issues there, but here it is. I haven't even thought of how many principles there are. There's 3. There's 3. I'm feeling my way in. I've got the principles there, but I'm feeling my way in. So this is what you could do for most efficacy, effectiveness, for better health, okay? Number 1, get off gluten, which means wheat, barley, rye. That's what Google will say, but it has to be oats as well. And I would say buckwheat as well. And I would like to also add, get off all grains. I've been on grains for the first 3 years. Yes, the first 3 years of my health journey, which got me to a healed state. So I decided to go off the grains to give me an even better return, an even better profile, a better picture for my health. Why is that? There's many. There's hunches there regarding the grains, where glucose issues, nutrient issues, lectin issues, not enough protein or good quality proteins, satiation, which if you do the Health 44 isn't much of a factor. So there you go. I'm already going into the nuances. So number 1 is get off gluten, which is wheat, barley, rye, and oats, especially. And if you want to go off the buckwheat and all the other grains, even better. But wheat, barley, rye, oats, out. Principle number 1, sorted. This will put you on the way to recovery, to recuperating the damaged villi in your small intestine. Those villi in your small intestine, they're like a shag carpet, but it's like little hairs. They act as these micronutrient absorbers, grabbers. They absorb it in the small intestine, and it goes into your tissues and cells, and it's involved. Especially minerals, they're involved in many other physiological factors, which I don't want to hijack, or I'm not even capable of explaining it well, but the minerals are very important, okay? So gluten, lack of gluten or eliminating gluten will get you on the road to micronutrient absorption recovery. Next. Sorry, just had to attend for something. So our next is, what should I put in next? Colloidal minerals. Look up, I don't know, Google shopping, Amazon, whatever your shopping preference. I would suggest go through longevity, but colloidal minerals is the next simplest thing you can do. We need 60 essential minerals as part of the whole 90 declared essential micronutrients. Minerals are one of 4 of the micronutrient classes we require. It's a must. So when you get those colloidal minerals, I think 75, 77, some may do 80 minerals, but 60 of those in that concoction are the essential minerals that are not found in our farming soils, our grasslands for the cattle, for the carnivores out there. So we need to ingest colloidal minerals. Some would say, well, salt, Celtic salt, pink Himalayan salt has 80 plus minerals in it. Well, it's less bioavailable, it's less absorbable. The older you are, even less absorbable. Okay, so that's where that's at. Okay, so colloidal minerals, and it's very weight oriented. So if you're if you get, say, the longevity brand, which I'll advocate for in the show notes, you can go through there to give me a few bucks in the longevity link. Your bioavailability, depending on your age, because you are damaged. Like if you're 60-year-old and you're starting these 3 principles I'll work on today, it's going to be very hard to absorb, even the colloidal minerals, because you've been damaged with all the eating of bread, your pastas, your muffins. Even if you've been healthy for all your life, you're quite damaged. Okay, unless you've been keto most of your life, at least for 40 years, using the 60-year-old example, you are damaged. You are. Okay. So that's number 2. Okay. And I'd suggest it's weight centric. So if something suggests which has no weight reference, okay, I think the weight reference they'll be using is 75 kilos. It used to be 64 kilos, the whole 10 stone thing. I think the average weight is 75, 78 kilograms. So dosages are based on 75-ish kilograms now. If you're 100 kilograms, an extra quarter on top of the cupful. If it's a capful, 1 1/4 capfuls. I'd go 2 capfuls and span that out at least 3 times during the day. I'd advocate for 4. But if you you like to keep track, I'd go for 6. As in, using that example, you have to divide the 1 1/4 caps by 6, which is pretty hard to measure. You can use those micro measuring scales, which I've bought them in the past, and people have thought I'm dealing drugs. So it's those sort of scales that you probably require with 1 or 2 decimal points. So I'd advocate for that. So that's principle number 2. Principle number 3. Ooh, what's principle number 3? Low fat? No. No sugar? No. But yes. Sugar, yeah, an issue, but this isn't the 3rd principle. What else are people going to suggest? Bounce on a bouncing trampoline? No. Do some exercise. Walking. High intensity? No. Number 3 is salt. Increase your salt intake. I'd advocate for Celtic sea salt, maybe half Celtic sea salt, 3/4 Celtic sea salt, with a bit of Himalayan sea salt, good quality stuff that you have to grind, not the processed stuff, not the already refined Celtic sea salt, which there won't be any, I don't think. Not I've only recently gone on to the rock pink salt, so I'm pretty much am I 3/4? Probably 60% Celtic sea salt I am, and the remainder is pink Himalayan salt. I've gone off the normal iodized table salt. Yes, it's good to get the iodine. It's fortified. It's better to get your micronutrients that aren't fortified, which means better bioavailability, right? So that's principle number 3. So those 3, the glutens out, the colloidal minerals in, and the increased salt in. How much salt? How much salt? Well, I'd double what you're using. Doc Wallach would say salt to taste and then triple it, which isn't an issue. Okay, if you're worried about salt equals blood pressure, I can help out with that. Wean off your blood pressure medication. Yes, consult with your doctor, this and that, but they'll be saying stay away from salt. But we need the salt to digest our food, and this is where I need to get rid of this notification. Sorry for my hand getting in there and my face. So salt intake will acidify your gastric juices even more, and we need to have a very acid gastric juice area, gastric juices, to digest our food the best, to annihilate the food that's coming in, get all the micronutrients out of the food, and when it starts going into our down the tract through the pipes that go from our mouth to the other end, once it gets to the small intestine, the villi in the small intestine, the micronutrients are released. The more acidic your gastric juices are, you need to get to under 2.0, the pH of your gastric juices. If you're one that is in a position to measure the pH, which is easiest done, nasogastric tube, aspirate, put it on one of those litmus paper, pH testing litmus paper things. Have a look at the color. If it's 1.0, beautiful. If you're 50, after at least 18 months, you could probably take some gluten, not fully, but a little bit of gluten here and there if your gastric juice pH is 1.0 and under, which is very acidic. Oh, but you'll get indigestion. No, you won't. No, you won't. It's indigestion is a lack of acidity in your gastric juices. That's right. No apple cider vinegar or kombucha or sauerkraut, fermented foods will help you. Salt. See? Easy. I told you it's going to be easy. How about the nuances? Just like the nuances with maybe going off all grains. The nuances with the take more minerals in has to be colloidal. That's right. But they're nuances, but if you want effectiveness, it's still simple. It's still simple. So that's principle number 3. So they're the 3 principles: gluten out, the minerals in, and increase the salt intake. Okay. What will further boost those 3 principles is do all your drinking, make sure you're hydrated half an hour before meals, and then don't start drinking until 90 minutes post meals. Manage your thirst. The reason why half an hour before your meal is that water is pretty much out of there within 10 minutes. Coffees and milks might take 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on how much you ingest. Okay, so manage the pre-meal, the post-meal. The reason for the 90 minutes, once you start introducing liquid in your meal, you de-acidify your gastric juices and you won't digest as much. Okay, that's where it's at. So 30 minutes prior, 90 minutes post. That's the nuance. That's a further nuance, but the three principles plus that little nuance in there. How about exercise? Well, that's when we start to get into further nuances, but they're the main things. Maybe that's four principles. The fourth principle is that 30 minutes prior, 90 minutes post drinking. You can drink 30 minutes pre, 90 minutes post. Okay, four principles. Okay. With the Health 44, if you want to go from 50, 80% efficacy to 90, 95, 99% efficacy, if you can't wait, if you want to do this properly and hard, it's not harder. It's not that much harder. And you probably need to do the whole Health 44, what I advocate, because you'll still probably be craving certain junk food, processed foods, and your weight issues might still be a problem for those struggling with weight. I also suggest that many of our chronic health issues are mineral deficiencies, but together with mineral deficiencies like cardiac issues, for example, you need also vitamin E, as well as the selenium, that sort of thing. You need the whole 90, but some of the markers, even atrial fibrillation is lack of many minerals, but you need calcium. Oh, but I eat plenty of milk and cheese and yogurts and dairy, but your methylation process isn't quite in check because your minerals, you haven't got ample minerals coming in. So that's where it gets complex. So with the Health 44, for one-off listeners, if you want to do the whole greatest of efficacy, the simplest and the greatest of efficacy regime, the Health 44, the first for the 44 is eliminate the glutens mentioned, oils, sugars, nitrates, nitrites. Okay, that's the first for the 44, elimination of those four categories of food, which is 90+% of the supermarket. And the cravings for some of those junk foods and the no-no foods will be eliminated once you bring in the second for the 44, introduction of those four classes of micronutrients. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 essential fatty acids. 3 months, you'll see results. 18 months, most of your ailments gone. My ailments are starting to go up day 4, I was noticing. Carpal tunnel issues, frozen shoulder, these 2 fingers. It was compression of my my 12 pairs of, well, everyone's 12 pairs of cranial nerves that come out of your brain and join into your spinal cord, come out of the foramen magnum, the big hole in the back of your head. Foramen magnum, Latin for big hole, back of your head. And if you have osteoporosis, the bone thickens, which means the hole gets smaller, compresses in a different way those 12 cranial nerves, and you get issues like the atrial fibrillation, which I mentioned, which is an osteoporosis issue, not a cardiac issue. Well, it's cardiac because it's AFib, but it's is it the vagus nerve, or is it cranial nerve pair 8? I think it's the vagus 10th cranial nerve. The frozen shoulder thing, RSI issues, wrist pain, all that sort of thing, osteoporosis. Your teeth are falling out, osteoporosis. Bad gums, osteoporosis. Okay. So that's that example. So once you're satiated with those 90 declared essential micronutrients, that 90% of the supermarket which you've just cut out is nourishing you. Okay, so particularly with the glutens, you're now starting to absorb the 90 declared essential micronutrients, those 4 classes of micronutrients. Then you won't crave the biscuits, the ice cream, the crisps, pizza, fried food, beer, drugs, smoking, which is also pica. If you eat too much, you've got pica. But if you're eating, drinking, smoking, and if you're a drug taker, that also might be 99%, 95% sure is a pica issue. You're micronutrient deficient, not trauma. Not trauma. That's where I draw my my conviction at 95% on that. Okay, so that's the Health 44 to get the 90+% efficacy. Those 3/4 principles that'll give you 50%, 60%, depending on your age. If you're a 20-year-old, that's probably your 90% efficacy. But if you do the Health 44, it'll be 99%. But it won't help you with congenital or birth defect issues because the damage is done. It can lessen. If you know, for example, Down syndrome is now going to happen in your pregnancy, you can lessen the impact of Down syndrome by just smashing down the micronutrients that we require, stop the gluten, oils, sugars, nitrates, nitrites, and the degree of Down syndrome in your child will be less. I've heard of a few examples that people have gone through, knocked down the 90 declared essential micronutrients, and the child was born only very slightly Down syndrome. It could have been worse. So there you go. I'll end it there. Thanks for your interest once again. I just have to tell you what the Health 44, the main advocacy that I go for here, because let's face it, this is a crappy production, not very well produced, and yeah, I have to at least each and every episode let you know what you should do. But I've made it even simpler. And for those thinking, nitrates, what? In the 4th category of the foods to eliminate, basically processed meats. So take it processed meats, which is the carcinogen, the high carcinogen, which is worse than smoking and being obese, and lack of sunlight. That's the big carcinogen granddaddy in the whole carcinogen complex. So get rid of the bacon, unless you can find, I haven't found it yet, nitrite free bacon. Okay, so I just needed to insert that in. Thanks again. I'm back again. See you next week. I feel like one of those 60s and 70s sitcoms. See you next week, sort of thing. And sometimes I go daily as well. So, right. Until the next time. All right. See ya.